Ready to Love, episode 6. And so we find out that Eric did self-eliminate. There was rumors about it, but I guess it's confirmed. So he decided to self-eliminate. He said he wasn't ready to love. I did a whole video on it. It was like he said, she said. You know, she said he grabbed her breasts. He said he had his arms around her and they was kind of up around her breast, but he didn't mention anything about grabbing her breasts. So I guess we'll never really know the truth. Depends on who you believe. But he basically said that he wanted to do some self-reflection and growth himself. So he said he's out. He's going to go ahead and self-eliminate. He said he wants to go ahead and get better at his communication so that when he comes back on the dating market, he'll be ready. So that's the end of that. So I guess Jacia only has one of the connection left, which is Clifton. And as we know, that really ain't no connection because Clifton is just playing along with the game because he's all into Joy. He ain't into Jacia. Not really, but I will leave the link at the end of this video. You can click on it to watch the video I did on Eric and Jacia. It was a pretty good video, so check it out if you hadn't seen it yet. So in this episode, the men are going to get to meet the exes of the ladies. So this ought to be really interesting to see, to take a look at the exes. Last year, the exes that came on, we was like, whoa, really? Are these the exes of these men? So this week we got to see the exes of some of the ladies, and there was a few surprises. So Joy had her ex come, and she had Clifton and Laverne meet her exes. Same thing. Joy just playing along. She's not really interested in Laverne, but you know what? I guess her and Clifton both got to pretend like they really playing this game. But the one she's really interested in is Clifton. So they got to meet Joy's ex, and it was really surprising because Clifton, man, he was on one this today. I guess he got a thing about meeting exes. It's a trigger for him. He must have had some type of trauma in his past where his ex girlfriend or wife or somebody cheated on him, because he says he don't like exes hanging around, not at all. And I know a lot of men don't like exes hanging around, but he seemed like he had some special reason. He was like, an ex can go from crying on their shoulder to laying on their shoulder. And he's like, I ain't with that. But Laverne is still talking about he likes Joy because she's extroverted and she's loud like him. And he thinks they could have a lot of fun. But I don't think he's really interested in Joy either. This year, I'm telling you, there's no real genuine connections. The only real genuine connection I see so far is really between Clifton and Joy. And then I possibly see one form between Sabrina and Donovan, which we'll get to. But Clifton was real nasty. He thought he was going to have some alone time with Joy. And when he walks up, he sees Laverne there. And he's like, what the heck is this? I'm not interested in doing this. But anyway, he talking about how Laverne is real competitive, but he's like, he's up to compete. And he said, I don't know what no ex is going to tell me about Joy except how to fail, because obviously their relationship failed. Clifton is on one. He ain't happy about this at all. So as soon as Clifton sits down, he starts grilling the ex, talking about what kind of communication do you guys have? Do you talk every day on holidays or what? Like how much of an ex are you really? And Joy's ex was like, that's not going to get you very far, jealousy. And Clifton was like, jealousy? That's what you think this is? So Joy's ex was trying to tell him, hey man, you shouldn't be bringing past trauma to a relationship. And Clifton says, yeah, because you know what? He understands that because he did bring some of his past experiences into one of his last relationships. And he said he basically ruined his relationship. We already know Clifton been married 2 times. But he says he's in therapy for it. But I don't think the therapy is working. Laverne, he was just the same old kind of shallow self, not saying nothing really of substance. And in the end, Joy's friend was like, you know what? Even though, I think he kind of got rubbed the wrong way by Clifton. He said, actually, Clifton is more Joy's type. But Clifton seems to come with a lot of risk. But Joy said Clifton ain't a lot of risk. Clifton is the one you sit on the edge of the cliff with and you jump together. All right then, Joy. She's saying risk. That ain't no risk. I'm down for that. So then Clifton later on, he ends up going to meet the kid's ex-boyfriend as well. And he gives her the one-arm hug. I told y'all in that video I did about Jacia and Eric, I said people need to be going to these one-arm hugs. And you know what? Clifton broke it out when he saw Jacia. He didn't give her no 2-arm hug. He gave her the 1-arm hug. That's what they should have been doing from the beginning. But then, it seemed like Jacia really hadn't learned no lessons, because as soon as she sits down with Clifton and her ex, she starts talking about, I need that connection, that physicality, and all this other kind of stuff. There she go. She started introducing it to the conversation right away. I don't know. She just don't know how to tamper it down. You would think after what just happened with Eric, she might like tamper it down a little bit, but she the same old Jacia. So then Clifton starts playing some games. He decides he's going to, get all touchy-feely with Jacia because he wants to see if the ex reacts, because he's trying to figure out how close is Jacia to the ex. Clifton is playing games. it's some, man, he's really insecure when it comes to exes. I mean, he must have had some real trauma behind it. And he was like, he should have done that with Joy too. But the kid probably thought Clifton was on her because he was really feeling her. But in the end, Clifton was just doing it to test out the ex. That ain't even good. That ain't even cool. Most of the exes that were meeting the women's connections had the opportunity to choose between two people, and then they could tell the woman which one they like best. But the kid only had one person coming, which was Clifton, because we know she don't have no other connections. So then Carmen has her ex come, and I was like, is he an ex or he is a current? Because she's all over there rubbing on herself, all this sexual talk with him. The sexual talk hadn't ended. And he's like, oh yeah, you looking good. You looking good. I was like, well, is he an ex or what? Because he seemed like he still want to be in the game. So then Paul comes on the date and Donovan comes on the date. And Paul is like, Donovan, why is Donovan here? He didn't even know that Carmen had a connection with Donovan, because she don't. She just met him. But these are just made up connections. They have this date and Carmen's ex is like, what are your intentions with Carmen? He like an old man, what are your intentions? Like he's the father of Carmen. That was kind of funny. And Donald was like, to get to know her and make her happy, because basically he don't know nothing about her. So what else is he going to say but get to know her? He doesn't know anything else about her. And then Paul comes around and he says, well, I'm looking to make her my girlfriend, then my fiance, then my wife. I don't know. That kind of sounds like a rehearsed line, but okay, we'll go with it, Paul. So they start saying, what would they have to expect with, if they were with Carmen? And the ex starts saying, well, you got to be pretty secure because she's around a lot of good looking men. She's around a lot of athletes. She's around a lot of stars. Because, I think she has like a sports management business or something like that. And he says there's a lot of late nights. So sometimes it could keep you wondering and keep you up at night wondering what's she doing so late at night. And so basically he's saying you got to be a secure man to be around Carmen. And Donovan said that's okay with him. He's never want to back down. And then Paul was like, yeah, that life doesn't faze me. I've been around it before. And then the guy was like, oh, okay, really? What do you do, Paul? And Paul says, I'm a software analyst. And Carmen was like, she winced like, yeah, what the hell does software analysts have to do being around celebrities and the nightlife and being out? I don't know. Maybe Paul wanted to fill us in on something else, but we're like, I don't see the correlation. It's interesting because in the end, the guy thought that Paul was too soft, and he actually chose that Donovan was a better fit for Carmen. But I don't know why he thought Paul was soft, because typically Paul comes off as being more the aggressive one. So I think maybe Paul was just holding back. I don't know what was going on, but I don't think he read the two correctly, to be honest with you. And of the two, if Carmen were to pick one of them, I believe out of the two, it would be Paul. It wouldn't be Donovan. I don't even think Donovan is interested in Carmen, to be honest with you. Then Ace came on with her ex, and I guess he used to paint portraits, and he said, yeah, that's what he still does. So I guess she was with some calm, peaceful spirit guy who paints portraits of people. And then Laverne came, and Laverne says he ain't jealous of no ex. He said if he was sitting next to Jay-Z and Barack Obama, he wouldn't be jealous of them either, because he can hold his own. I tell you, Laverne, he's full of confidence. He got a lot of confidence, enough for everybody in the room. He's like, Poppy is here. Boy, sit down. Then Tori starts talking trash too, talking about, he doesn't need not worry about no ex, because exes are just trash you thrown out, and who wants to go pick that up again? Both these two is just bumping their chest and their ego. Boo, 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 boo. Just too much ego. Too much testosterone. And it's interesting because Ace's ex basically described her as an alpha female. And in the end, he was like, you know what? You're alpha female, Ace. So if you want to be led, it's better you go with Laverne. But if you want to lead somebody, you might want to go with Tori. And then the guy asked Tori, hey, she's an alpha female. Are you an alpha? And Tori said, it's not about dominating your wife. It's about respecting and reciprocating. I heard that, Tori, but I guess the friend didn't like that, because in the end he was like she should go with Laverne. So Sabrina ended up having her ex, this guy named Milton, go out with Demetrius. She had Sabrina had 3 people she had to introduce to exes. So she had Demetrius. She ended up lumping Tori in there. We don't know why, and Donovan. But anyway, Demetrius came and met Milton. And when Demetrius watching, he was like, well, at least we kind of look alike, because they did kind of look alike. They was both chocolate brothers. I don't know if they looked alike, but they kind of had similar features. So Sabrina's ex started spilling the tea on her, started talking about, she likes to be included on everything, included on decisions. And Demetrius was like, what, really? That ain't what he's used to. He said, so what if we disagreed on the decision and I made the decision anyway? Would she end up being mad? Would there be a problem? He goes, oh yeah, it's going to be a problem. And Demetrius like, what? This ain't the Sabrina I know. This ain't what I'm looking for. I told you, I said Demetrius does not like to be challenged. In those last videos, if you go back and watch last week or whatever, I told you, Demetrius don't like to be challenged. And what Sabrina's boyfriend, ex-boyfriend is telling him right now is Sabrina will challenge you. And Demetrius is not liking what he's hearing. I told you last time I said Sabrina and Demetrius wasn't a good fit. She needed to go on over to Donovan, because Demetrius is a 21-year war veteran. I could tell from the beginning, Demetrius, he ain't no joke. He ain't playing with you girls. Sabrina had that long wish list. Demetrius ain't half them things on that list. Demetrius is not the one for her. She better go on over to Donovan. So she ended up having a date with Donovan and Tori. And Tori was salty as all else, because he was basically saying, oh, she got a connection with Donovan Demetrius, and I guess me too. He was like, I don't know how you can have 3 connections. Boy, he was salty and shady. And when he showed up on that date, he had a bad attitude, and Sabrina was just stunned by it. I don't know why he was stunned. She thought he was stunned because he was having to meet her ex-boyfriend on. He was stunned. He never got over that truth or dare. I don't know why Sabrina don't understand that. And I don't even know why she invited him on this date. It was kind of mean that she even did it. She shouldn't have done it. But she was really into Donovan. He was confident. He was a charmer. He was professional. He was kind. He was sweet. She liked everything about Donovan. I think by the end of this day, she for sure knew that Tori was out and Donovan was going to be her number one. I think she's still trying to hang on to Demetrius a little bit, but you could quite tell that Sabrina's eyes have turned toward Donovan already. And in the end, her ex told her, he said, you know what, Demetrius, between the two, of course, Tori's out, but between the two, Demetrius and Donovan, yeah, you could build something with Demetrius, but she said, you know what, Donovan's going to be the one that takes you to a whole new level and the one you would have the most fun with and enjoy the most. That's what her friend told her. Same thing I'm saying. She better go on over there with that Cali man. She from Cali, he from Cali. Because I told you this Cali DC combination ain't a good combination. So then Tina came. So Tina is gonna now introduce her ex-boyfriend. His name is BJ. I guess no pun intended. His name BJ. He gets to introduce to Paul and also Demetrius. And same thing that comes there. Demetrius is giving off them those serious vibes. And in the end, the ex don't think that Demetrius is right for Tina, because I'm telling you, not too many of these women are right for Demetrius. I know that right now. And then also Paul came, but Paul was shocked because Tina's boyfriend was so young, and he was like, how she go from that to coming up to this level where he is basically saying how she go from a young man to an old man. I told you that Tina was looking for a sugar daddy. She wants a man who's stable, and she believes she needs to get that in an older man. She tried all that. She was selling it so hard. I could tell this is all a gameplay. So now to come to find out, her ex wasn't even all that older. But to be fair to Tina, this ex is from years ago. This ex is from, she was in high school. So I don't even know why she brought him to the table, because it was 17, 18 years ago when they dated. And all he did was come in and mess her up, because he started talking about how, you know, when they broke up, she was busting doors and breaking phones and basically tried to make her sound like she was crazy. But it was 17 years ago. And then she tells the story that the reason why she did get crazy was because he was cheating so bad and he was hiding in showers because he didn't want to get caught. I don't know, but that ex of hers busted it wide open. Really did make a good impression for the two guys. And definitely Demetrius was quite a bit turned off. Demetrius ain't interested in Tina no more. Not at all. In the end, the bottom two ended up being Tori and Laverne. The kid was the one that had to tell Tori he was on the bottom. And then at the end, she told him, you know, but you're still alive. You're still ready to love. We want to keep you around. And she's like, give me a hug. Come on in here. There she go, giving out hugs still. She can't stay away from it. She really need to stay away from it. It's really dangerous ground. This Sabrina had to tell Laverne that he was the one and he wasn't ready to love. And Laverne ends up telling us that he got a heads up from Precious. So Precious been eliminated, but I guess Precious is still, you know, stirring the pot, and basically told him that there was a plot against him to get him removed. And the plot was between Carmen, Tina, and Sabrina, and they were trying to get him removed. So before they even sat down, Laverne was coming in hot. But I don't think it was really a plot. It's just that, you know, Laverne was on the chopping blocks for weeks. Even when Precious was there, the only reason Laverne got to stay was because Precious saved him. So Precious might have just said from the beginning that, you know, she was never high on the list for Sabrina. But anyway, Laverne comes in all hot, talking about, you've been plotting against me. You don't like me and all that, man. He was out the box. And Sabrina was like, wait a minute, you small little petty man. She said, he's a small little petty man and he needs to pipe down. She said she said he's being disrespectful, his tone, he's over talking. She got up and walked away from him. She didn't even get to tell him to his face that he was not ready to love. She had to tell it to the camera. And as much as she kept denying the fact that there was no plot against him, she was like, ain't nobody had no plot against you. You're not that important to have no massive scheme to get rid of you. You ain't even that high on her radar. She was like, you a small, petty little man. Laverne was way triggered. And then at the end, his little confession at the end, he was like, he's been dating for 44 years and it hasn't worked for him for 44 years. He said he had stopped for a while. He decided to try one last time and try this. And now this didn't work. This was his last try. So he was like, he's just going to go off with his dog, him and his dog. And I guess this is the end of it. Oh, it was so sad to watch. He needs therapy. If you've been dating for 44 years, Laverne, and well, not 44 because you're only 44, but that's what he says. He's got 2 daughters. He must have done something. Maybe. So you was making babies, but not dating. I don't know, Laverne, he needs some therapy. I know you got health benefits if you're a war veteran. I mean, he need to use some of them benefits and go sit on the couch and get some therapy because something not right with Laverne. And then they were asking, well, what about Ace? He was like, oh, I guess you win some and lose some. See, I don't even know if he was really even in the Ace. I think he was just trying to use Ace to get to the end because after they said, well, aren't you going to miss Ace? It seemed like he didn't even care no more. It's like he just going to go home and be with his dog. But that's it, y'all. That was the end of this episode. To be honest with you, it really wasn't that much that went on. But anyway, talk to you later. Bye.